Hi, everyone. As was mentioned, I'm Iryna Liashchuk. I'm the president of Blynk. And we are here to talk about the ever-present dilemma of build versus buy when it comes to the IoT software. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of the low-code solutions. We will try to answer the question whether low-code can really deliver on the promise and needs for enterprises. And we will touch on things like, oh, my needs are unique, and one size does not fit all, and low-code is just templates. We'll get into all of that and try to unpack it. Does not work. But before we do that, I will ask you two questions. If you're a business pondering over build versus buy, ask yourself, can you really afford to delay the launch of your IoT solution by a year or two, sometimes 3, all the while your competitors are launching, gaining traction, gaining customers? And if to the first question your answer was yes, and you decided to build in-house, then you should ask yourself, is this solution that you have built has become that ROI generator that you have hoped for, or is it more like a time sucker and resource sucker for your product team? These two are pretty real concerns that companies are facing when they are launching, making this decision. And you probably guessed it, I have quite strong arguments in favor of the buy approach that I will share with you today. However, it doesn't mean that this is a light decision and the one that should be made lightly and not considered carefully by every single company out there. Just last week, I was in South Florida meeting one of the largest construction companies in the US. We were talking about their IoT journey. So they were telling me that they started in 2019 when more and more field managers from the construction sites were asking to implement sensors. They needed air quality sensors. They need to monitor noise for regulations. Some of them need leak detection. So the requests were coming in, and it was clear they need a solution. So they did a quick scan of the technology market and decided to build in-house. After all, they are a large company, they have resources, and besides, how hard can it be to just implement a bunch of sensors, connect them to the cloud, and put some dashboards out there to use the data? Fast forward to 2024. They do have a solution, it's functional. The sensors are sending data. However, the adoption of that solution is still very low. They shared that maybe only about 5% of the sites have the sensors installed. The team that manages the solution is still caught up in a lot of manual processes. They told me that just to install a new type of sensor for them is breaking their workflows. You guessed it, was not built for scale. And I'm not even talking about things like they've been wanting to do for years, but they're stuck on the pile of lists of tasks of our IT team, things like safety cameras and more like exploratory projects that they've been wanting to implement. That all has to wait. So 5 years later, in their own words, they feel like they're still in the POC stage, and now they need a real solution. And that's the time when they started considering a low-code platform. So the versions of this slide are out there. I'm sure you've seen this stuff before, variation of it, but let's kind of give our take on it. So on the one hand, in the build route, in the custom development route, you have a very real benefit of control. So you control the full architecture. You own the source code. You control the security, which can be good or bad, depending how much resources you have. You do not rely on a third-party vendor. On the other hand, with the buy route, there is a clear and often decisive factor of the time to market. Because in our world, technology is changing fast, markets are changing fast, and inaction costs companies a lot of money, actually. I would say costs and risks are the two different big buckets of considerations for companies when they make this decision. And in terms of costs, we often hear that companies prefer to some companies prefer to invest more upfront, but then kind of avoid those recurring platform fees, licensing fees later on from IoT platforms. But what happens in reality, a lot of the times they actually get the worst of the two worlds. So they do pay up quite a bit upfront, but once they've launched, they still have to maintain the same team on contract and staff to keep evolving that solution and keep updating the software. And for those of you who deal with software, you probably know that it's a living thing. It has to be constantly updated. I have a very good example of a company we've started working with recently. They are in commercial plumbing space, quite a large company in the US. So they spent about 3 to 4 years building an in-house solution and estimated about 2 to 3 million US dollars by now. The thing is, the solution is there. They actually are happy with it. The quality is good, no major issues. But their investment is not really going down. So they still have to develop new features all the time because they uncover new needs every year, new products, things change. So it's not quite what they were planning for when they were building it. And for these guys, essentially, where I was going with this. So they are now actually considering the white label solution to offload and optimize expenses because they basically compared the cloud host, the development costs, and they are now looking to switch. The thing is that they built a system that every feature has to be developed from scratch, so it takes them months to deliver. But the biggest problem is that the ROI that they were expecting from the solution is not quite there yet. Their connected product line is not a huge revenue driver yet, partially because it takes them a long time to kind of adapt to the market and to deliver new features. So for these companies, it's really important to build a system that they can work with and evolve very quickly. And risks. I was mentioning costs, and there's also a mention of risks. So if you're thinking about risks, the risk of relying on a third-party company is real. So what if they change things? What if they go out of business? Like, let's not dismiss that. That's is a consideration. But if you've learned, you've kind of heard the other arguments in favor of buy route, and you do want to go there, you need to do two things. So first, obviously, do a very detailed due diligence on your provider. Talk to their customers, look at what they've done before, how long they've been around, but also think about migration scenario from the day one. So most reputable platforms, including Blynk, are built with this scenario in mind. So they actually offer you quite an easy way to switch out of the platform and reroute your devices to a different software should this need ever arise. Bottom line, you can always de-risk your buy strategy, and there's a way to do that. As an industry, we still interestingly talk a lot about getting the devices' data to the cloud, getting them secure, processing the data, scale, all of these important things. What gets to be talked about the least is user experience. And I'll unpack what I mean by user experience. And we think it's a huge oversight. So whether you spend $50,000 or $5 million on your IoT solution, if the user adoption is not there, either by your staff or by your customers, that whole investment essentially goes down the drain. So when you're thinking about user experience, what does it mean? It means how easy it is to install your device, that commissioning process. Is it intuitive? Is it fast? Is it going to suck up resources and man-hours? How intuitive and simple those dashboards are and visualization. Is this data the one that you need, and is it available where you need it? So is it available on your phone in the field when you have to access it? Can you assign a different role to your contractor versus your partner versus the manager versus the troubleshooting engineering team when it comes to accessing your data? Is it easy? Are those roles and permission flexible enough? Is your OTA process, can you easily segment devices? There are just so many little nuances that often get uncovered after you launch an IoT solutions. All those little workflows that they may not seem big when you're launching, but they will suck up your resources later on. So thinking about all of this that's on the slide, there's a lot more that goes into actual everyday operations and the practical aspects of IoT. Isn't it just easier to license a platform and get the solution that has all of these things already, that someone has spent millions of dollars developing and years developing, testing, perfecting and working out the use cases by other companies, and just get it today and not in 2 years. So that means you can start getting market feedback today. You can start, deciding what you've done wrong, perfecting solution today. So you get in market and you start getting that ROI today. And this is exactly why a platform like Blynk exists. So for us, we have not only made our mission to create that full suite of software, that end-to-end suite of software that the companies typically need, and they sometimes don't even know what they need until they get there, but we also made that user experience our top priority. In fact, Blynk was started about 10 years ago by a user experience expert. Pavlo is here today if you ever want to chat with him, but we really put a lot of thinking through the day-to-day, like how is that software going to be used? Blynk is a bit of a newer name in the LoRaWAN world specifically. We've been working with other connectivity methods for a long time. So I'll unpack a little bit what we actually do and what the platform offers. So we are a hardware-agnostic platform, so we can give you a set of tools and APIs, embedded tools to connect your devices very easily. So that integration is not even a question. For those who work with the Think Stack, we've just announced an integration last week. So the devices that work with the Think Stack can easily connect to Blynk already. So once the device is connected, we take care of the full cloud infrastructure for our customers. During the prototyping stage, you can connect to our public cloud, which is free and easy. When it scales up, like with very minimal charges, you can start playing with it. If you're ready to go launch and full scale, we can run a private cloud infrastructure for you. What this means, the company doesn't have to worry about the DevOps and everything that is connected to the cloud. We offer a very comprehensive, feature-rich web console that includes kind of every single device management, fleet management use cases that we've come across over 10 years of working with IoT customers. It gives you the ability to configure your devices, to manage your data, to manage your devices, users, organizations, create hierarchies. There's just so much packed into it, and you can only choose what you need. It's low code, you can configure dashboards without any coding, and it's essentially you can have multiple views for different types of teams, so it's extremely flexible. And the last, but probably most famous product of Blynk is our mobile app builder. We pioneered it in 2014, just kind of no-code way of creating mobile apps that actually look custom. And it also packs a ton of IoT workflow into it, from device activation to notifications, alerts, scheduling, automations, and things like even marketing tools for those of you who want to upsell your customers on different solutions. And all of these things are fully integrated into one software suite that is optimized for the best user experience. Let's get back to the point of my needs are unique. I don't know if this is going to fit me. So you shouldn't be thinking about a low-code platform like Blynk as just a bunch of templates that may or may not fit your needs. Think of it more like a Lego. So we've developed a bunch of components, IoT widgets, IoT components that fit different use cases, and you can construct from there. So while the core, the foundation is the same, it's the same system that's been battle tested by thousands of companies, your results are going to be very different. The solutions we see built on the platform vary from agriculture to smart home to construction to scooter rentals, and every single solution looks very different. We're actually not the only ones that think that low-code is where everything is heading. So Gartner believes that by 2026, over 80% of IT projects will be built on low-code solutions. It's not just IoT stat, it's wider, but IoT is very much part of it. So if we go back to the questions we started with and ask, can low-code these days, where it is today, deliver on the promise of IoT, of enterprise needs? Our answer is resounding yes. We have about over 5,000 companies that believe that too. They've been building on the platform. Over 1 million developers are signed up on the platform as of today. And some of the big names you see on the screen, they're all our customers and kind of have put trust in low-code and in Blynk. So I actually wanted to leave you with one closing thought before we talk about how to explore Blynk. If a company needs an e-commerce site today, they don't think about building it. They go to Shopify. They use something that's out there. If a company needs a payment solution, they don't think about building it. They use PayPal, Stripe, a variety of other tools out there. Why? because it's not their core differentiation. So, IoT is complex, it has to be done right, it has to be done by experts, but if selling IoT software is not your core business, then you might be better off spending your core product resources on the things you are actually valued for as a business. So if this conversation has sparked your interest in exploring low-code and you'd like to learn more about Blynk, there are a couple of ways. You can see a demo of our software with one of our partners' hardware, the Seed booth. It's just right outside of the theater. You can scan the QR code and see kind of a bit more information. We've also prepared a unique promo code for the attendees of the conference if you want to try more premium features. And you can just come talk to us, the team. The 4 of us are here today. We'd love to have a conversation. We'd love to hear why you don't believe what I've said. So absolutely, please come to us. We'd love to have to learn more from you guys what you think on the topic. With that, I thank you and wishing you a great day 2.